Hello, folks. Welcome to the Solar Fit Renewable Energy Show. This is Bill Gallagher. Another beautiful day in Flagler County. Doesn't get much better than this. I'm here with my friend Bernie Bisciotti. Bernie, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, great. Thank you, Bill.
Well, thank you for joining us. Bernie has just joined our company, and we're thrilled to death. And Bernie, just before we invite our guests on, just tell the folks a little bit about your background.
I spent most of my career in corporate America up in the Annapolis, Maryland area, Baltimore area. In engineering staffing, and they helped build a company over the last 20 years, and we actually moved down here after we were able to cash out, and the children left the house. They went to college, so chose not to move back to the area, so we came down here to see what life was like in Florida. So we're loving it. We're in Port Orange.
Well, we're so glad that you joined us, Bernie. What a wonderful opportunity to work with a real class guy. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well,
man.
Thank you.
Well, today we're going to have some very special guests on our show. We'll have a chance to talk to Dibs Tailor and Matt Ellenberger, and they're with Sol, which is one of the premier solar lighting companies in America today. Hello, Dibs. Hello, Matt. Welcome to the Solar Fit Renewable Energy Show.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
We're doing outstanding. You know, we're here in Flagler Beach, Florida. It is absolutely beautiful out. No humidity. The only problem is the pollen. I don't know if you guys are running into that up there.
Yeah, we got dust all over the place.
Jeez, man. And Bernie Bisciotti's here with me, so we're going to have some fun today talking about our favorite topic, which is solar energy and lighting and stuff. And, hey, guys, you are one of the largest, if not the largest in the United States, and the company is SOL, right?
That's right.
Okay, before we get talking about that, if you could, tell us a little bit about yourself and how each of you became involved in renewable energy. Dibs, you start.
Sure. So mine's a little bit serendipitous. I'm actually an automotive parts guy that a friend of mine and a former business partner is a director at Sol, and a couple of years ago he asked me to be a board advisor, help the company. It kind of lost its way a little bit operationally, and then soon after, in 2012, I became the CEO. In the automotive parts business, I've always been involved. It's been green. We were remanufacturing starters and alternators. I have some aerospace experience in repair and overhaul, so my past experience fits in with the values of renewable energy, albeit, on a green side. And, it's a fascinating industry with enormous potential. I'm kind of excited to be part of it, and I think it's the right place at the right time.
Well, Dibs, obviously you're not from South Florida. Where are you from originally?
Originally from England.
From England. That's a very distinctive voice, I'll tell you. It makes me want to sit up straight. Yeah, honestly, that's a compliment. Hey, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, so I grew up with a father who was an engineer for the power company for 32 years. So the discussions about energy and electricity and lighting were, I'll say, force-fed from a very young age, and we had conversations around the dinner table. So I spent 13 years in the lighting industry before coming to Sol and the solar lighting business. And for me, the driving thing when I came here was, there's a lot of technology involved, and the lighting business has gone through a big changeover in the past 5 years from traditional light sources to LEDs. And for the solar lighting space, those technologies are the exciting part for me, that those are going to have and will continue to drive the commercial viability of the solar outdoor lighting space. So, and side note, I just thought it was, some really cool stuff.
Man, outstanding. On the way up here, I was just mentioning, and Bernie, you can kind of chime in if you want. We were looking at these billboards, and, of course, you guys immediately came to mind. That's a big part of your business. What do you think, Bernie?
Oh, yeah, especially when they're out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Well, I love that. It's just awesome. You look up there and you see these solar panels and the lighting, and you do a lot of that, don't you?
We do. The majority of our business is on kind of street lighting, pathway lighting, and we have a reasonable sized portion of what we term that as kind of the out-of-home advertising for billboard lighting, ad box lighting. We do, our volume within the U.S. is, we have about 40% 40% in the U.S. and 60% we sell internationally. Our business is a project-based business, so it depends upon new construction. But the out-of-home advertising, as we put it, is a growing part. It's where it's more commercially viable. You think of advertisers wanting to pay money to have, either lit advertising boxes or lit billboards. They pay more, so then solar becomes more compelling. But as Bernie said as well, when it's in the middle of nowhere away from the grid, it is absolutely a very compelling argument to have it solar lit.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and we don't even think about it. We're driving down the interstate, and we just say, "Oh, there's a sign, and maybe it's illuminated, and maybe it's not." But in many cases, there's no electric going there at all. What a perfect opportunity for your products.
And it's becoming more and more prevalent. I think as you go around the U.S., you see solar cameras or solar powered cameras. Let's say, you see the traffic signals as well. We've just started and launched products for solar lit traffic lights. We don't do them in the U.S., but we sell them internationally.
Oh, amazing!
So it certainly seems to become more and more prevalent.
Right. Well, when was Sol founded initially?
Back in 1990, Alan Hurst co-founded it. He was a former restaurateur. He's a lawyer by education, although I don't think he practiced law. He retired to Florida, and I think through his children not wanting him to retire, or maybe it was his wife not wanting him to retire, he teamed up and decided that solar lighting had a future. So it's been 23, coming on to 24 years.
Gosh. And where are you based?
Palm City, Florida, just about a half an hour north of West Palm Beach Airport, Palm Beach International Airport.
And great, and you obviously sell all across the world. I'm looking at some notes here on Africa. My goodness, you even sell into Africa on this signage?
Yeah, I mean, in countries like Africa, they don't have. I mean, in the U.S., we're so fortunate, and in developed countries, we're so fortunate to have a grid. In countries and in continents like Africa and countries like Nigeria and I just came back from Ethiopia. They have grid, but it's not very reliable and it's not far-reaching. And there is areas in rural areas where the energy demand is so low, and it's so remote that the cost of getting electricity, to expand the grid out there is just cost prohibitive. So in areas where there's no grid, solar lighting has tremendous demand. So we're finding, internationally, in developing countries, there is a tremendous demand and need for lighting. Alan, our founder, says light is life, and when something is dark, when a place is dark, and you light it up, it really is amazing, what can be accomplished.
Well, we sure take a lot for granted, don't we, guys? I mean,
yeah.
We're doing some projects with Embry-Riddle for the last actually 3 years in Haiti, and boy, they come back and they tell the stories of how life is there and how expensive energy is there, and if you're lucky enough to get it, and of course, Matt, with your utility background, you can probably get a grasp of this. I mean, it's just they may have energy for an hour and a half at a time. If you don't do something at that point, it's just pretty much over.
In Haiti, we've done a lot of work. In the last couple of years, we've partnered with a local entrepreneur. And last year, I actually went out there. It was the most moving experience for me whilst I've been with Sol. We ended up installing, 4 lights that took us a long time because it was in rural areas. It actually only takes 45 minutes to to put up the pole and the light, and you immediately have light. But we had to go to remote villages with, on dirt roads. And, by the time we got to the fourth village, we had a reception of 150 people, and they were singing, and there was light, and there was no light. And this was at, 10:30 at night. It was really a incredible experience to kind of bring light where there was none before.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. The enthusiasm. First of all, they hadn't seen the light, and being drawn to it in the crowds. We did see something similar. The stories coming out of Haiti when we did a well pumping system down there with a university, and it's the first time they ever had clean water that actually came out of the ground, and they were coming from miles with 5-gallon buckets. It's just unbelievable. And
everybody wants to lend a hand as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, Matt, what's your experience on foreign installations and stuff? Or are you mostly in the U.S.?
Yeah, I've worked mostly in the United States. Domestic Dibs travels around the globe and gets involved in more of the international. I will say, though, to complement what Dibs, the images and the video and the things that come back from some of the countries, and like for Haiti, it wasn't earthquake. It was, the villages had never had electricity, and so it is pretty moving to see the whole village come together and make a decision on where the light's going to go, and then lift the light into the air at night, and it was pretty neat to see.
Oh, that's got to be awesome. And Bernie, you've done a lot of traveling around the world and stuff, and I'm sure you've been to some underdeveloped countries and things. What do you think about the prospect of seeing light or having clean water for the first time?
Well, you're right. I mean, we take everything for granted here. Just some work with our church. We've heard stories like that, and it's just amazing that how blessed we are in this country. It's a shame that everybody here doesn't get a chance to experience what you guys are talking about. It's just we are blessed to be here. That's for sure.
One of the other interesting things is here in the U.S., things have gone to dark sky. They want to make sure the light is full cut off and you don't see it from opposing properties. And in some of the countries that Dibs and Alan travel, it's quite the opposite. They want, Dibs commented about this a little bit, but the style fixture they use, they tilt it up a little bit. They really are trying to broadcast that we have lighting in the community or the village.
Boy, that's got to be strange when you're in another village and you look up and all of a sudden you see a light in the sky. It reminds me of E.T. or something.
Yeah.
Really? Wouldn't that be kind of eerie?
Well, one of the things that when the company first got started, Alan had sold some lights down in the Miami-Dade County area right before Hurricane Andrew hit. And one of the big stories at the very beginning of the company was that the light was still there after the Hurricane Andrew blew through and was still working, and all the people in the neighborhood were upset that the city lights were working, but they didn't have power. They didn't realize it was a solar lighting system.
Gosh, wow. That's an inspiration to invest in, in the future, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was back in 92.
Oh, man, unbelievable. Well, how has Sol's business evolved since the initial founding?
So, the company started out with some street lighting, and Alan and his team developed various products. They had, the sign lighting, street lighting, some transit business, and it really started out of Florida. And at one point there were 3 salespeople covering learning and building this business out of Florida. And then they got into some DoD work, and then they started getting some international calls, and then the DoD business exploded, and products continued to expand and evolve. The technology changed from things like we used to use compact fluorescent years ago. Then the technology changed into cold cathode, which is essentially neon light that we used for a while, and then today we use LEDs. But then about 99, Alan started to travel to Africa, and so he's been going back and forth to Africa on a fairly frequent basis, like you and I might go to Orlando or someplace. Alan is hopping back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean, and so he's been focusing on that, and that's been a big part of the international side of the business. And then
we have over 60,000 lighting systems today in over 60 countries, over 6 continents.
That is really impressive. My goodness.
It's in terms of megawatt power, we've installed, over 10 megawatts of solar capacity.
Holy mackerel, that is awesome, guys. That is awesome. Well, you know what? We got to take a short break. Folks, stay with us. We'll be right back. Did you ever think the day would come when you could heat and cool your house using solar power only? Well, the future is here. You can now solar air condition and solar heat your home.
SolarFit sets you free.
A solar comfort heating and air conditioning system offered exclusively by SolarFit. Give us a call and let's talk about solar fitting your home. 445-7606. 445-7606.
SolarFit your life and set yourself free with the sun's free energy.
Welcome back to the SolarFit Renewable Energy Show, folks. This is Bill Gallagher. I'm here with my friend Bernie Bashotti, and we're speaking with Dibs Tailor and Matt Ellenberger with Sol, the reliable, renewable, and remarkable energy company. Guys, before the break, we were talking about how the business has grown substantially. 60,000 lighting systems in 60 countries is awesome. I don't know anybody that could do anything quite like that. What about business, governments, universities, and stuff like that? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so, a natural place to fit is in the governmental municipal space, and the Department of Defense for a long time has been installing solar lighting, and we have systems installed on over 200 military installations around the world. And then from there, we also get into scenarios for, municipalities, for them, I'm actually out here at a parks conference, so pathways, trails, greenways. I just was out in California and saw a bunch of trails that just unbelievable at night, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Hundreds of people are traveling on these trails. And so the solar lighting in those applications is great because you've got a very long run. In some cases, it's distant from power, and it makes sense. We also do things like monument signs. As far as where does it make sense, in a lot of cases it's, either where it's distance from power or you're trying to avoid some of the cost, or you don't want to dig up on college campuses, for instance. You may need a light for security in some location or a series of lights, but there's a lot of infrastructure on the college campus. You may not want to dig up all the way across a field or a parking lot or a quad or whatever you want to call it. To put in lighting, and you can plant these anywhere and they'll work.
That was one of the thoughts that I had, guys, was the security and safety issue. Boy, you can't understate the value of that. Maybe a basketball court or someplace where perhaps unsavory candidates could congregate. Having that lit up is huge. Is that a marketplace for you guys too?
Absolutely. For park spaces specifically and college campuses, after hours vandalism and other activities, providing light creates an environment where that helps minimize those types of things. So we have. I was just at a park down in Fort Lauderdale, where they installed a bunch of systems, and it's all of the above. It's pathways, trails. It's in a neighborhood. It's pretty close to downtown Fort Lauderdale, and the park had almost no lighting on it before, and they put in 59 of these systems between the pool, the parking lot, the pathways, and trails. And so now people can go out there at night and enjoy it in a safe environment.
Boy, that is an awesome thing. Some of these projects that you've done, like Santa Monica College and L.A. Arboretum, and can you talk a little bit about some of those projects?
Yeah, so like at the L.A. Arboretum, neat facility. It's a botanical garden. In that particular, they have a parking lot. It's kind of a long linear parking lot at the front of the site, and there were issues on that where they didn't want to dig into the asphalt and into some of the soil to disrupt. They didn't want to disrupt some of the trees that were on the site. Beautiful setting. You can imagine it at a botanical garden. Santa Monica College it was for a campus parking lot that is actually it says right there in Santa Monica, and again there. For us, it's about, with LEDs, the technology that's there now is allows you to light the facility, and it's very, very uniform. And with lighting, that's important. And for the college, it's right on the front of the campus, and so it promotes the sustainability. It communicates. That's one of the things that's interesting about solar lighting is that it not only is sustainable, it also continues to communicate it, unlike other sustainable technologies that may be out there, because you see it every day.
Hey, guys, I have a question for you. Does the light actually look like typical street lighting? I mean, from a color temperature standpoint?
It looks just like the rest from a light quality and the color temperature, just like other LED light fixtures that are out there today. And we can adjust the color temperature, whether you want a warmer one or you want a bluer color. But as far as that goes, yes.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah, here's an interesting thing. Never have an electric bill for 30 years. That's pretty awesome. You have 60,000 systems. Did you ever put a figure to how much money you've saved people over the years?
It's a challenge with varying electricity rates across. I mean, you were talking about Haiti. Haiti is 35 cents per kilowatt hour. Ethiopia had I think it was a cent. It was heavily subsidized. So we haven't put a figure to it. We've kind of just measured it on a megawatt. The interesting part, when people think of solar, they think about the energy savings, and what actually drives our business. It's not really only the economics of saving electrical energy, costs, on the grid versus free energy from solar. But as much as we're a solar lighting business, we're also a wireless lighting business, meaning a lighting system without the wiring grid. And the greatest economic benefit that comes from our solar lighting is the avoidance of the first cost of installation. That's the avoidance of the trenching, wires, labor, and disruption costs. So in many instances, you get a payback from the first day, and then you get electricity free for for years following.
Well, I can imagine how busy you guys are. Do you do a lot of just commercial outdoor lighting, I assume, too, right?
It's all commercial outdoor. We don't do residential. We've started looking at some, for rural electrification. We've started looking at some of some indoor lighting products. 3 lights, 1 watt light or 3 watt lights. And a small solar panel. This is primarily for outside of the U.S. market.
So, who are your main customers? I mean, who are the people that really are your base?
Our biggest customer is the Department of Defense. And then second is municipalities across the U.S. and government. In different countries, local cities. Then we have some a couple of foreign aid companies as well that we sell to. Those are the major ones that I can think of. We have, of course, we we did big projects with private businesses. We had a customer out in Las Vegas that did a swap meet. He had a parking lot. He'd normally do it during the day, but he wanted to have one night a week where he could get his vendors in, and so we designed a system, set it up. It was close to $1 million, and his payback was within the first 7 months.
Oh man, that's
so this was a paved parking lot. So in order for him to put lighting in there, he'd have had to call the utility, he'd have to get the trenching, and there was a significant upfront cost. So he got, an immediate payback by putting in solar lighting. So we have, private customers as well.
Well, I see that 200 federal sites, 200 military installations. Not too long ago, I was up at Parris Island, and I couldn't help but notice, man, what the amount of solar, both thermal and solar electric. Do you do work up there as well?
I would say there are solar lights on, I think it was, like I said earlier, over 200 military installations, and through the years we've been lighting, and we have them in Afghanistan, we have them in Iraq, and they light everything from roadways, typical parking lot applications, to things like munitions bunkers, fueling stations, and all of the above. And so from a reliability standpoint, when you get into the Department of Defense, one of the issues is that, this stuff has to work. And so that's one of the things is you look at the solar lighting as people commonly think of as the residential landscape type lights around their house that they work for 6 months and they don't continue to work. These systems are really set up, designed, engineered to be able to work in the kind of environment for the Department of Defense. They're built to run and built to last.
Gotcha. What are the challenges, the greatest challenges that you're facing for commercial outdoor lighting?
So I think one thing is just a kind of a lack of awareness of the viability of the product. As the technology is involved over the past 10 years, and I mentioned some of the things about compact fluorescence and those types of things. There's been other evolutions in batteries and in panels, and we always have people come. We have people from all over the world come down to the factory and do a tour and come out and see the lights out in front. And they always say, "Wow, I didn't realize that you could get this much light out of a solar lighting system." And so I think there's a lack of awareness that says, "Hey, this is a viable product economically." The light performance now with LEDs is fantastic, and so that's one of the things as we move forward that we'll continue to chip away at. But I think that's one of the challenges. And then the other thing I mentioned is that kind of there's a perception out there with the typical landscape lighting that stuff doesn't work, and so we go over the top to try to make sure people understand that's a different product and different design than what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some low cost, lighting that you say really isn't very dependable. But what you're doing is just an awesome job, guy. We're almost out of time here. I want to thank both of you for coming on. Tell us what your website is if people want to go on there and learn a little more about it.
Sure. It's www.solarlighting.com, all one word.
Okay, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much. We're all out of time. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on. You did an awesome job, and, keep up the good work out there, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Bill and Bernie, thank you so much.
Well,
okay,
thank you,
thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Well, that completes our show today, folks. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Dibs Tailor and Matt Ellenberger, and along with my friend Bernie Bisciotti. It was they're doing an awesome job of lighting the world, not just the United States, but the world with economical and environmental friendly lighting. So keep up the good work to all those guys, and got to sign off for now. You have a great weekend.